Guys, already back with another Portable Clint. I got a guy here. I've seen him in the waiting rooms for a long time. I love his story. He's done a couple of things that stood out to me, and I'm going to bring it up to him. Ladies and gentlemen, JD Walsh. Hey, look at you.
Hey guys.
Hey buddy, thank you for doing this, man.
I'm honored to do it.
JD,
Yeah.
I don't know too much about you, but I've known you forever.
So I can make shit up if I want.
You can make it all up, dude. I don't care. But let the people, give the people what they want, and they want to know about you.
Okay.
JD.
Yeah.
When and why did you come out here?
Okay, I grew.
We're gonna scoot up a little bit,
Yeah.
so you don't have to. There we go.
Well, let's
Look
do
at
that. So we have like a vertigo thing.
Yeah,
going
there you
with the
go.
camera.
Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And
Wisconsin.
Yeah, and basically growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
That was my big thing. I wanted
Sure.
to be a lawyer, and specifically, I think I wanted to be a corporate lawyer, which is hilarious since I don't have any sort of desire to read books or to go intellectually into some subject for more than 20 minutes. But yeah, I really wanted to do that, and then it dawned on me in college, I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to play a lawyer.
Oh.
I feel like 95% of being a lawyer is like research and like writing documents,
Sure.
and literally 5% of it is closing arguments and wouldn't you say. But if you're on like a 1 hour, like a Law and Order or something like that, 95% of it is, wouldn't you say, Your Honor, that, I object and stuff like that? That's all I really wanted to do. So,
Yeah.
So-
Cut out all the work.
yeah, and just get right to
Yeah.
the closing summation.
Yeah.
With slight southern drawl.
Sure,
I
yeah.
wouldn't know about that, but so yeah. So I ended up going to the University of Minnesota for a year, and then they didn't have a great undergraduate acting program, which others would have looked into before they went
Sure,
to that school.
yeah,
I
you
did
would
not.
think.
I found it out
Sure.
mid plane trip. I realized this plane is broken, so that was good. And then so I then went to UC Santa Barbara for a year, and then I ended up graduating from UCLA in theater.
Okay. So you're out here, you go there, and
Yeah.
are you going out auditions while you're going to college, or did you go?
No, I wish I would have. I did this thing that I think a lot of people can connect to, which is I wanted to, quote, work on my craft.
Sure.
And the truth is, I was just nervous. I was just really scared to become an actor and, see if I could make it. And it's unfortunate because just based off of my track record after college, if I had been going out for commercials during college, I could have paid for my tuition.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's one or
yeah.
two spots.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the heydays of the late 90s.
Yeah, oh,
you know
yeah,
what I'm
they
saying?
were sweet.
They were sweet. And so, yeah, it definitely, I wish I would have done that more. But instead what I did is I did a lot of improv. At Santa Barbara, I got involved in comedy sports, which was also from my hometown in Madison. And then
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so then I dabbled in all the theater in Los Angeles. I did LA comedy sports. I did some groundling workshops. I did annoyance theater in Chicago, some IO. Come on over. And so we definitely, I definitely was able to do a lot of improv. So that was good. That got me on stage.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I did right. I beat myself up a lot about like things I wish I had done along the way. But doing improv every week, and it was the most important thing to me. Doing an improv show was like, it was. I think dating and hooking up with women was slightly ahead, but other than that, there was a giant chasm between everything else but improv.
Okay, so you're doing improv. Okay,
Yeah.
You graduate. When and how did you start going out? Did you get an agent? Tell me how.
Yeah, I did a mailing that Monday. I was always fixated on that Monday after I graduated. Like, what do we do now? And my mom was great. She's been great through my whole career. Because I had taken some summer school and graduated earlier than we thought, she was going to give me enough money to live on for another 3 or 4 months that we would have put towards school, but I had taken summer school. So I had like 4 months before the cliff, And so that Monday I literally did the mailing to 200 agents, And
200?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a big believer in that. I feel like you're fishing without a worm, so you're just hoping that some fish happens to be swimming by when you're yanking.
Yep.
So, and the idea was just do the math, which is 200 applications or envelopes out. You're hoping for 6 responses. 3 of those are going to be crazy. 3 are going to be sane. 2 aren't going to want you, and all you need is that one sane person who wanted you.
Wow, yeah.
So I signed with Commercials Unlimited. Are they still around?
I think so.
Are they really?
See you.
Yeah, see you.
Yeah, I think so. I think I see them on the sign-in sheets.
Yep. So I signed with them and started going out commercially, and then theatrically, I did another mailing. And I walked into this room, and this woman, she went to UCLA. And we had a little bit of a UCLA connection.
Nice.
And we talked about that. I did a monologue for her in her office.
Do you know the monologue right now?
Oh, no, but that's a great question. It is definitely like a Speed the Plow, David Mamet, Hollywood one. And I forgot the lines and just started making up dialogue. I remember that specifically. And she sent me out. I literally auditioned for one line on Saved by the Bell in 90210. And my first gig was for a TV show called The Smart Guy. And it was this all-black sitcom that was, Sister Sister?
Yes.
Okay, they had a brother in real life.
Okay.
And he had his own show called Smart Guy, and it was basically a 12-year-old wonderkin.
Okay.
Who was in high school and stuff.
Sure.
And I played the white guy who said, "What's up, homies?" a lot. I said a lot of, "What's up, homies?" Aw, snap. I did a lot of that.
Yeah, okay.
They're like, we love it. So I totally sold out my race. But it was great, and it started snowballing. I became like one of the friends, and I mean, I look back on it now and think I was literally in a 1990s sitcom. Like, I was at the lockers.
Yeah.
I was in the soccer game. I slid across a floor in a slip and slide in a party. It was great. And what's also great is that I knew the first AD pretty well, and I could get everybody their vouchers. Remember, you could get vouchers.
3 SAG vouchers.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if you watch, it's like all my friends are extras in it. They're like literally. That was a SAG card factory for me.
That's awesome.
It was great.
Man.
It was really great.
That's really neat,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, anytime you can do something good for somebody without actually having to do anything,
yes,
it just makes you feel good.
Right.
You know
You're right. You are right, JD.
Yep.
Okay, so are you telling me that you're booking at the beginning more theatrical than commercial?
No. I just thought the commercial stuff was boring. I auditioned for a Del Taco commercial. It was my first commercial audition. And I booked it, and my line was, like to try our 39-cent tacos. Like to try it was a guy who was like being trained to say it, and so I had to say it with different inflections. And like to try our 39-cent tacos. Like to try our 39-cent tacos. And so I booked that, and that got me enough money. 1, it ran a lot in LA, so that was cool.
Nice.
And 2, then that got me enough money to live for another 3 or 4 months, which got me to another like Honda commercial, small commercial. It just, and then once I got Smart Guy, I mean, I was making $2,800 a week. Now, that wouldn't do a lot for me now.
Right, of course.
But back then, I was single. I was living in an apartment where I literally had a rug across the living room because I lived in the living room for $250 on Spalding in Santa Monica.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, because you know how it is. You got to keep especially when you're starting out, you got to keep your overhead really low.
Yeah.
And so I was probably every month spending $1,000. So all I needed was one commercial that could last me a year.
Yeah. So how many episodes did you do of Smart Guy?
Maybe about 13.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that all in one season?
No, it was over the course of 3 seasons.
And you loved getting those phone calls, knowing that, hey, we're checking your availability, we're putting a pin in you.
For sure, dude. It was a good lesson, and not that I learned the lesson.
Sure.
The universe was trying to teach me this lesson, which is be happy with what you have, because I didn't appreciate it. I always was thinking about the next week.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked this week, but man, I really wanted them to come up and be like, "Oh, we got something for you next week."
Yes.
And that sort of an addiction to it.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And that old rule, live in the moment.
Yeah.
And dude, I've wasted so many moments by thinking about the next moment.
And I can speak intelligently about living in the moment. I don't know if I'm living in the moment or if I'm just observing the moment.
Yeah.
So I try. But like
good.
when I look at my kids when they're sleeping, I'm like, okay, appreciate it. I'm like, am I just pretending to appreciate this? I don't know. Or if I'm doing that to other kids, you know? Like if I go into their house and just watch them sleep, I'm like, I really have to appreciate this moment before the alarms go off.
Yeah, exactly, man. All right, JD, you know what? I'm going to pull over for a second because I'm going to talk about something that happened to you probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
You did this project downtown.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to say it and I don't know it. If you don't mind telling them what it was. What was it? Because it was brilliant.
Oh, thanks.
Brilliant. And I want you to do it again. I want you to do it often. I don't know why you're not doing it more.
I should do it more. You're right.
But
I should do it more.
Please tell them what it was.
Okay, I'll tell you why I'm not doing it anymore. So just remember for me to tell you why. Okay, so here was the idea, is that I had done something maybe 10 years ago. I was running my improv theater in Westwood, and we were trying to do little projects and like just start doing digital things. You know how that the Channel 101 time.
Sure.
And we didn't have a script, and so the idea was, what if we did a cop movie, but we just improvised with people on the streets. And so we got a camera, it was fine, and we had a microphone, not so great, and we did it. And it was something that years later, people kept saying, you should do more of that. I really liked that. And a mentor of mine, Brian Judkins in Indianapolis.
Wait, who was it?
His name was Brian Judkins. His name is Brian Judkins. He's now an advertising guy in Indianapolis.
Sure.
And he said, you should do that more. And so I like to listen to Brian. So I was directing a commercial maybe 3 years ago, and a friend of mine, and a friend of mine was the sort of producer of it, and so we had this super nice camera, and he said, hey, can I leave it at your house over the weekend, because we'll be shooting on Monday? And I said, yeah, great. And I thought, it's never going to get better than this, to have a camera that you would film a feature on.
Sure.
In your, because when you're making stuff, you're always like, we gotta get a camera, and how nice is it going to be?
Yeah.
This is like the top of the line Alexa camera. And so we went out and we went to downtown LA. My friend Mike Postalakis and I, who'd helped me on the first one, and we went and we did this cop drama with people on the street. They were either witnesses, or they were suspects, or they were dead bodies. I would chase people down the street, and I would say maybe 1 in 3 people said yes.
Tell me what you went up and told these people at the very beginning.
Okay, I would say, hey, do you have 15 seconds for me to tell you what I'm doing? Because I'm wearing a suit. Some people say no, that's fine. And then other people will be like, yeah, sure. And I would say, we're making a movie where everybody in the movie is improvising, we don't have any sets. This downtown LA is our set. And some people would be like, I'm for it. And it's great.
Okay, and what do you ask? Tell them what you asked them to do. Like,
okay. I would say, okay, you're my partner. And then I would say to you at the beginning of our scene, I'd be like, remember Ramirez? And then you would just have to improvise. This person on the street would just have to improvise what happened to Ramirez. So we built this whole story. We'd gotten that the mayor was on drugs, and it was really great. It was really great. And then we edited it together, and we put it into a trailer. Oh, so that you'll enjoy this. So we put it out, and it does well, which was interesting. And we get a call from a production company, and they say, hey, we're interested in trying to sell this as a show. And I said, okay. Wow. So we go into MTV. It's my friend Mike Postalakis and I. We're in MTV. Now remember, you and I are same generation. Yeah. So MTV is like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's MTV.
Yeah. So we walk into MTV to sell the show, and we show the clip, and then the head of development there has been there, by the way, for 20 years. She's telling stories about like early VH1 behind the music. I mean, she's been there since the flag was on the moon.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
And she says, she asked me some questions like, but what if people aren't good? And I said, well, we can edit around those people, or, it's actually even better when they're worse, because you can see people really trying. Yeah. And she just goes like this, and my friend Mike and I still do this. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And Mike and I were like, what does that mean? What Like, what just happened? And my immediate thought is, get me out of this room. Because I don't want to screw it up. I don't want to say something inappropriate or offensive or some joke that just get me out of the room. You know, it's a win. I'm done.
Right.
And so she's like, so we go into the, and by the way, I'm not exaggerating. We went into the hallway and she's like, you guys need anything? You guys need validation? And I was like, nope. We did need validation.
Right,
I was about to pay.
Still want to ask another thing.
I was about to pay $38 for this 2-hour, for the 2-hour parking. But I just wanted, she said, no, come on. She walks us into this giant open space with all the assistants like behind their cubbies. And she goes, be nice to them. I just bought their show. And Mike and her are like, what is going on? We get into the lobby. We're still sort of stunned. It's me and the producer and the agent, big time agent who I'd never met before. And they're looking stunned like, she's known as Dr. No. And we don't know what just happened. And so Mike and I ride down the elevator we ride down with the agent, and the agent gets off on like the second floor. We get off on parking 2, and we literally start dancing because we can't imagine what just happened. So I go off on vacation. I don't think anything about it. I get a call when I get back. So there's like a month and a half later, just thinking like, oh, I wonder what's going on. It's from the producer. Literally, that woman was fired 3 days later. So what I love about it is the idea, I like to think that she knew she was getting fired and just decided to have a lot of fun meetings. Like just every meeting, I love it, let's do it. Just so that everyone was high-fiving her and just having the best time. And, or she was just fucking with us. She was literally like, let's just see what these guys think if we, so to answer your big long question of why don't I do it anymore, because we have talked about doing it some more. One, we spent about a year developing it. We ended up selling it to Pop Television, and we put together a pilot presentation. We did it again, but with 2 other people. It went really well. It was as good as we could ask. Didn't go. The reason that we don't do it again is because it is so hard. And I'm not saying that we won't or that we shouldn't. I'm just saying, when we were driving down to downtown LA and I knew I was going to be in a suit and I was going to have to go up to people and tell them, and people were going to be terrible to me at times, I just was like, this is daunting. I literally had to push through 18 times of, I don't want to do this anymore. So I think we could do it again. I hope that we will, but it is not easy, dude.
I believe it. I believe it. I do this, and like every weekday, I'm like, I love it. On the weekends, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah. And you just don't know if it's gonna be anything, or if it's just gonna be a waste of time. But this was a great lesson in just go and do it, and you don't know if it's gonna turn out to something. And you have to also have confidence of like, do I really do terrible shit? Like, is my stuff, you know how like when your friend has you come to see their one-act play or whatever, it's just terrible, and there's so much terribleness in the city. You just have to at some point think to yourself like, well, it's not going to be terrible. It's either going to be medium or it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, JD.
Yeah.
Let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
Tell me your take on 2.5 Men. Do you have a 2.5 Men story? This is when I first heard about you a long time ago.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing that.
So I had done, after Smart Guy, I got Dharma and Greg, and then that was written by Truck Lorre, and then after that, we did 2.5 Men. I was the pizza guy on 2.5 Men. Great gig. Did about nine episodes, some bigger than others, but anyway, so I was in the last episode that they shot in front of a live audience.
Okay.
And it was with Charlie, and it was a surreal experience because, you know, I was literally in my trailer looking at TMZ and them saying Charlie's in Las Vegas, and I knew he was because we were sitting on the set waiting for him. And he showed up, so we sat on the set while he literally flew from Vegas on a Tuesday, landed, got driven to the set, and then like sort of carried onto the set with his handlers. I'd only seen that once before with Anna Nicole Smith when I did a commercial with her years ago, where they sort of treated her like an 80-year-old woman, you know? So we get to the set, and we're sitting on the the rehearsal goes terribly. But I'm leaving Charlie alone. He's always been very nice to me, not super close, but very nice to me. And we're sitting on the couch, and I'm just silent. And then he turns to me and he goes, "Hey, you want to go to Vegas this weekend? And I thought to myself, that's a person who's in real trouble, because I love Vegas.
Yeah.
I go maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Sure.
I love it.
Sure.
I have never come back from Vegas and immediately thought, I can't wait to get back to Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I need a month
Yes.
to and then I go, oh yeah, that'll be fun. You forget all the
Yeah.
sort of dryness and the desperation. And so I said, yeah. So
Wow.
that weekend I went to Vegas and I stayed with Charlie.
Wait, tell me how you got there. How did you get there?
I didn't trust that he would get me there, so I had friends of mine were already going, so I drove with them, and then I had to find him and texting with his assistant, and I didn't know what hotel they were at, and I show up, and we're at this Planet Hollywood, and there's a lobby in the room. There's a main foyer. Right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
And then there's 2 bedrooms. And there's 7 or 8 guys there drinking, and Charlie's not there. And I come in real low status, thinking oh, it's a party and stuff like that. And his assistant pulls me aside and is like, we don't know who these guys are. It's the pilot and his friends. It's just supposed to be you and Charlie. And I was like, oh, okay. So the whole weekend is supposed to be me and Charlie, which is weird because I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't sleep with prostitutes.
Sure.
Those seem to be the sort of the 3 talisman to Charlie's life. So they end up leaving. Oh, I had a choice, by the way. I could stay in that room, or there was another room on the 2nd floor. And I have to be honest that I took the 2nd floor room, and the reason why is that if I heard any sirens, I could just take the elevator down,
Smart man.
and just drive away, and nobody would know. I just didn't want to be the guy who was in the room.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you know who was in the room? You know?
Yeah.
I wanted to be gone. So it was a crazy weekend. It's what you imagine if what you imagine is sad and depressing. I found out why people do drugs in the bathroom. Do you know why people do cocaine in the bathroom?
I don't. I've never done it.
I'll tell you why. They do it in the bathroom so that if people show up, they can flush it down the toilet. I didn't know that.
I did not know that either.
But I mean, it's literally me just sitting there on a side of a bathtub watching Charlie look like a homeless person. It was very, very depressing.
Really?
I wanted it to be crazy, like Playboy Mansion.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what that and the reality is depressing. Yeah.
Did you ever talk to him? That was the last? You filmed the last episode?
Yeah. We spent a couple days together, and then on the last day, I had a buddy of mine, the guy who was there, who drove me there. He came up to the room, and we were sort of waiting for Charlie to wake up, because Charlie was going to fly us back home on the private jet. And there were 2 Las Vegas prostitutes in the foyer, and they were watching the TV show House. Okay. And so we sat there, and just because Charlie was sleeping, and they were waiting to get paid for the weekend.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were just waiting, and so my friend, God bless him, nicest guy, Darren, he was like, it's hard to make. I realized very quickly it's hard to make small talk with prostitutes. Like, oh, so what do you do? Or even what's your name is a landmine of a conversation. Oh, what do you do? Oh, your parents like that? Oh, cool. Where are you from? What steep sadness led you to this viewing of House? So it was definitely crazy. But then we did fly home. And
did you fly home with him this time?
Yeah, we flew home with him this time.
How did you get? What is a private jet?
Oh, yeah, no, there was a limousine. We drove out onto the tarmac. My friend Darren was with me because I wanted somebody to be like, isn't this crazy? And we got on the plane. We flew into Burbank, and then they drove me to my house. And I remember his assistant driving through Van Nuys, my neighborhood, and being like, geez, nice houses. And I was like, what? You're making fun of, you don't have a great house. You live in Charlotte. Like, what?
Yeah.
Very weird.
Okay, JD.
Yeah.
Here's the last thing I'm going to take about that story.
Okay.
You didn't know him that well, right?
I did not know him super well.
But the fact that did he ever ask you to do anything before this?
No. No?
Was that a sign? No offense.
I do remember one time it was me and Melanie on the set, and he was all over the magazines because he was getting a divorce from Denise Richards.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, are you married? And I was like, yeah, we got married a couple years ago. And then Melanie was like, Charlie, I'm engaged. We're getting married in a month. And he's like, oh, great, that's great. And in any other conversation, you would ask him, so how are things? You know, like, how's the wife? But since it was literally on every tabloid, we just sort of sat in silence, and then he just went, try to be friends. And just walked away, and I was like, oh, Jesus. What's the story? Okay, so what was your question?
I guess what I'm trying to take away from this, and this is no offense
There's
to
no
you.
lesson. There's no
lesson, but was he that lonely that he had no one else to go to Vegas with?
Okay, you're hitting on something big there, which is, here's what he taught me, is that if you have an endless amount of money and you are attractive and you are famous, then no matter what, people will still want to sleep with you, will still want to be your friend, will still want to hang out with you, and they'll just be a conveyor belt through your life.
Yeah.
And no one ever talks about the downside of fuck you money, which is you tell a lot of people fuck you. You know, there's something good about the fact that I don't have a lot of money, that I have to be conscious of other human beings and kind and thoughtful. And the times I want to yell at somebody, I'd be like, okay, and just, I'm going to be calm.
Yeah.
He also taught me that if you have no boundaries in life, if there's nothing keeping you from wanting something or getting something, then nothing is tangibly good. And the example that I give is, if, let's say, I gave you, a private jet and millions of dollars, and you weren't dating or married, think of the most crazy thing that you can do. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the 4 most beautiful women. We're gonna go to Paris. We're gonna get a room that looks over the Eiffel Tower, and it's gonna be a mansion. We're just gonna make out all day, and we're gonna do crazy drugs and stuff like that. Okay, that's Monday. What do you do Tuesday?
Right,
what do you do Wednesday?
Right.
What do you do for the next 360 days of the year? Because it's, what's exciting to me in my life is a really great dinner that my family and I have, and watching Survivor with my wife or Amazing Race with my kids, and then getting to make out with my wife. Yeah. That's a great evening.
Sure.
Because my boundaries are so small.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. Good stuff. Moving on.
Okay.
JD, you did something, and thank you for letting me talk about this. Not a lot of people talk about this. Me being a bald man as well. Yeah. You went a toupee for a while.
I did. I missed out on a big show maybe about 12, 13 years ago.
Which one was that?
It was Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about that too while you tell me this. How'd you miss out on Big Bang Theory?
Okay, it's a long story, but basically Chuck had written it, and he said you'd be perfect for this.
Which part?
For the Johnny Galecki part.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, a very long process. I mean, it's literally a 1-hour story. At the end of the day, I went in and tested for it by myself. And at the end of the audition, Chuck Lorre and Les Moonves walked out of the room. And by the way, I had auditioned with the guy who got the other guy.
Simon Helberg?
No, the main guy that everyone loves.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
There are people watching this right now screaming at their screen.
Yeah, say, dude, it's that dude.
It's that guy.
I did a commercial with him.
Yeah. Jim Parsons.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I remember thinking, thank God I'm not auditioning against this guy, because this guy wakes up and is this guy.
Yeah.
And I remember after the audition, I was in the hallway, and Les Moonves and Chuck Lorre were walking right towards me. And I was like, this is where I get the handshake. And they walked right by me.
Man.
And that was the moment. And then I put a voodoo hex on Les Moonves. And I said, it's not going to happen now, but one day there'll be comeuppance. And then I was like, wah, la, la, la. And I had like a little shaky doll of him.
Sure.
So anyway, we'll see how that plays out. And we'll see. And so after that, I thought to myself, I think it might be time because I was getting a little patch here and it was thinning out. And so I went with a toupee. I got my teeth fixed. because I had a little thing going on.
All of this because of Big Bang Theory. This started stuff.
I think it's a culmination of things, but it was definitely after that I thought, okay, I could get a few more years of being the lead on a TV series, and so I did that, and I did it to pay for maybe 5-6 years. I'm really glad that I did. I booked Studio 60 with Aaron Sorkin based off the idea that I was a super young doctor, which I would not have gotten, and that was literally a dream come true. Like
my buddy Nate Torrance was on that show. I loved that show.
Yes, he's still in Denver?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, I love that dude, and I loved that show. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, so
Studio 60 on Sunset Strip, right?
Yep. So I was glad that I did it, and but I did have this feeling of, if I am trying to live an authentic life, this is about as fake as you can get. And so I eventually, when I got I wrote a TV show for Hulu, and we were going to do it for 6 months. I thought this is a good time to transition, because I'll have enough money that sort of awkward stage of like, wait a second, I thought you had the hair and now you don't, and maybe I'll have enough money to live on during the course of that time.
Yeah.
I will tell you that after Battleground, so I was the showrunner on the TV show Battleground.
But you were a showrunner?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great, man.
So after that, after it got canceled, I remember thinking to myself, I'm just going to write. And then I thought eventually, you know what? I'm going to go back to acting. But I'm just going to do TV and film. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do commercials. And you know why I'm going to do commercials? Because I've got a wife, I've got kids, and I'm going to go back and do commercials. And my next thought is, who do you think you are? Do you think you're some sort of coal miner going back into the coal mines for your family? You're going back to 300 South La Brea. Like, that is not a righteous stance. You know, I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a good human being. Kids, I do this for you, like coal covering my face, black lung.
I slated for you, kids.
They made me slate and slate. Yeah. So I drove back from Santa Monica at 5:30. Yeah.
For you, kids?
Yeah. So I'm just a great human being. I do it because I'm great.
JD, man, you've had a great career. What's your shining moment of your whole career?
I was really proud of Battleground, writing Battleground, and I got to do it in my hometown of Madison.
How did you get Battleground? How did you?
I wrote it, and then I shot a 14-minute version of it, and then we sold it to Fox, and then they eventually passed on it, and then we took it to Hulu when they were still doing stuff. And I think the fact that my friend Mark Webb, who's a director, was attached to it, and that we had something physical when they were just starting out. They didn't have a lot of money. This is pre-House of Cards and Handmaid's Tale. They didn't. The streaming wasn't as big as it was now, and it was just a sort of right place, right time. You know, so I'm very proud of that. And then Studio 60 was a big deal. Yeah. But what Studio 60 taught me was, you think that when you get to the top of the mountain that you'll be happy. And I wasn't miserable, but I wasn't. Here's what I loved. I loved that people saw it. I loved that Aaron Sorkin got up and wrote lines for me. I got to do all my scenes with Bradley Whitford, which was my dream come true. He's from Madison, and so mine. Wow. It was all great, but I wasn't happier. And it sort of taught me, and I think you'll see this a lot in this industry, don't wait for you to get X to be happy. It's not going to make you happy. In fact, you'll get there and be more depressed because you're like, I'm not happier. It's everything that you build around it. It's your family for me. It's traveling. It's creating something that I believe in. That gives me substance. Yeah. Being on The Mentalist, besides all the things that I named about what I like about it, specifically being paid and being able to pay my mortgage, everything else, I don't really. It doesn't. I'm proud of it, but I don't actually enjoy it.
JD, what's the goal now? What's the thing you want to achieve? If you could do it tomorrow, what would it be? Would it go film a movie? Would it be book a series? Would it be write? What is it?
Well, I write, and I would say right now my goal is to. I wrote a feature, and it's with some producers. Blah blah blah. Let's see if it goes anywhere. But it's worth my time. As opposed to, you always just feel like, I don't know if this is going to be worth my time, something we talked about earlier. I know for a fact that this is worthy of my time. Whether it then turns into something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's worth my time. So I'm going to keep doing that. Try to sell a show here or there. So maybe I get one shot a year to go into network and pitch a show. So
that's more than some. That's more than a lot.
Yeah, it's
more
true.
Than a
That's
lot.
true. So I have to be appreciative of that. But really, it's enjoying these last few years that my kids are at home.
Yes. How old are your kids?
8, 11, and 13.
Okay.
And I would really like to make it to my pension at 55. So I'd like to hang on to commercial acting just 9 more years.
Yes.
We're just hanging on. So,
JD.
Yeah.
This is the most I've ever talked to you, but I've known you. You've always stood out to me. I always had to keep an eye on you in the
Thanks,
rooms
Clint.
because you were a force, and obviously you still are. So, dude, I tip my hat to you, and always up to something, always going for it. Like I said, I'm gonna put the link to that downtown show on this video so people can see it.
Thanks. And also put the documentary I did on commercial acting.
Oh, I cannot. Okay, you may have to send that to me because I haven't seen that
you'll
one
love
yet.
it. You'll love it.
Okay, great.
Yeah. But I appreciate you saying that. I know that you're wrapping up, but I appreciate you saying that because I don't have that sense for myself. It's nice when people go out of their way to say like, "Hey, this is how I perceive you," and I'm excited about what you're doing and stuff. Because in my mind, I'm just sort of lost in the shopping mall.
Yeah,
you know?
no, JD, you are a force in the business. I mean,
thank you.
people are aware when you walk into the room.
Thank
So
you.
us actors, we know, dude. We know to keep an eye on you. JD,
Thanks, Clint.
thank you for doing this. Do me a favor. Tell everybody bye out there.
Bye.